what happens when a god dies? I mean, really think about it. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible spiritual mysteries out there, the final moments of Lord Krishna, and the baffling question of what actually happened to his physical body. You can find countless stories about his life and teachings, but when you get to the end, there's this incredible mystery. It leaves us with this huge question. When a divine being like Krishna leaves the mortal world, what happens to their physical form? Where does it go? Okay, so to really get why this is such a mystery, we have to start with the official story. Let's walk through the sequence of events of Krishna's last moments, just as they're traditionally told. So the story goes, it all starts with what seems like a simple accident. Krishna's in a forest, and he's struck by a hunter's arrow. He then peacefully leaves his human form. His follower, Arjuna, finds him and prepares to perform the final rites, just as anyone would. He gets the body ready for cremation and lights the funeral pyre. So far, everything seems, well, pretty normal for a final farewell. But right there, in the middle of that fire, the story takes a hard left turn away from anything ordinary. What happened next is something that just defies the laws of nature, and it's what opens the door to this whole mystery. The flames were raging, just like you'd expect from any funeral pyre. But what those flames did, or really what they didn't do, was anything but normal. Think about how fire works, right? It burns, it consumes, it turns a physical body into ash, but in this case, that's not what happened at all. The ancient accounts say that even though the fire burned incredibly hot, Krishna's body was completely untouched. It wasn't consumed by the flames. It didn't turn to ash. It just lay there in the fire, whole and intact. Now, just let that sink in for a second. A body survives a massive fire all night long, only to have completely vanished by the next morning. It wasn't burned away. It was just gone, like it was never there to begin with. So how in the world do you explain something like that? When the basic laws of physics just don't seem to apply, you've got to look for other kinds of explanations. And that's where the ancient texts come in, offering a few mystical theories to try and make sense of it all. Let's look at the three main ideas here. First, there's the theory of dematerialization, that because Krishna's body was divine, it simply dissolved into pure light, returning to the cosmos. The second idea is that it physically transformed into some kind of sacred relic that would carry his divine energy forward. And then there's the third theory, and this one is pretty wild. It's the belief that his heart, which the fire couldn't touch, transformed into something called the Brahma Padartha, a super sacred divine object that tradition says is still housed today inside the main idol at the Jagannath Temple, secretly moved from one idol to the next for centuries. And this is really the key point here, the absolute and total nature of the disappearance. There's no tomb to go visit it, no ashes kept as relics, no physical remains whatsoever. It was a complete vanishing act, leaving nothing behind but the story itself. So you see, this isn't really a mystery that we can solve like some detective case. It's an event that goes way beyond physical explanation. It's become this enduring enigma that sits right at the heart of faith, and it really challenges how we think about the line between the mortal world and the divine. What really happened that night remains one of the greatest mysteries of Krishna's departure. And maybe that's the whole point. Perhaps it's a mystery that isn't asking for a neat and tidy answer, but is instead inviting us to just wonder, to contemplate the nature of divinity and that very thin veil between our world and the spiritual.